Hello and good afternoon everyone. I hope you all are doing fine and preparing for your exam. So as you all know that there has been new virus in the town, not coronavirus, but this is called Mpox virus, which is also called as a monkeypox virus. Now, why this is called as a monkeypox virus and what are the certain things we need to understand from the exam point? These are the certain questions that we are going to address in this brief academic review. Okay, so let's understand now what is Mpox. Okay, now what is this Mpox? So Mpox, which is called as previously, which is also called as monkeypox, is a self-limiting viral infection caused by Mpox virus. So this is mainly caused by virus. So there may be a question that what is Mpox caused by? Is it caused by bacteria? Is it caused by virus? It is caused by protozoa or something? Then the answer will be virus. So very simple. So at least 99,000 cases and 208 deaths due to Mpox have been reported from 116 countries since 2022. So this is not something a new virus, but the spread of the virus has been very slow. So from 2022 at least 99,000 cases has been registered and almost 208 deaths have been registered because of this Mpox virus. Now this is a virus which is a species of the genus Orthopox virus, and two different clades exist, clade 1 and clade 2 virus. Now what are the other things that we need to know? See, WHO has declared Mpox as a public health emergency because of the outbreak of something in Congo. So more than 27,000 cases and around 1,100 deaths has been recorded since January 2023 as the African nation battles its worst ever outbreak. So mostly at the first instance, this was a virus which had first emerged in the African continent only, but slowly and gradually, because of this human to human contact, it has started spreading to other regions of the world, and now WHO is in a position to declare it at one of the public health emergency. Okay, now how is Mpox transmitted? Mpox can be transmitted from person to person through direct contact with infectious skin or other lesions such as in the mouth or the genitals. So this is like a person to person contact. For example, if you and I are standing together and if I start sneezing, or let's say if you drink water from my bottle, and so there is a high chance that a virus can be transmitted from such instances. Now, infection can also occur through use of contaminated objects such as clothing or linen. For example, if you are using my t-shirt to wear, and if I'm been sweating, or there has been some sort of a little bit of scratch or something, and there has been a little bit of blood which has been attached to the cloth. So that cloth, if you wear it tomorrow without washing it, so there's a high chance that a virus can be transmitted like that. So animal to human transmission occurs from infected animals to humans from bites or scratches. So this is not a virus which can be transmitted only from human to human, but it can also be transmitted from the animals to humans. So if we are in direct contact with infected animals, then there's a high chance that we can also be infected by the Mpox virus. Okay. Next is Sweden has reported the first case of Mpox spread outside Africa. So since 2022, Sweden became the first country to have recorded the spread of Mpox. And why Sweden? Because maybe somebody from Sweden went to Africa for some traveling purpose and he must have caught this Mpox virus with him. So in Asia, Pakistan has also been reported with the recent strain. Okay, so during the 2022 global outbreak, India too reported cases of Mpox, albeit of the less deadly clade 2 type. Initially, infections were reported among some people of the Kerala who had a history of international travel. So during the year 2022, some people have in India also reported this Mpox contamination. Why? Because some people must have visited Africa, and the contamination which happened in India was mostly of the less deadly type. Okay. So in 1958, the virus was initially recognized in Denmark within research monkeys utilized as animal models. So this is named as monkeypox. Why? Because first time the research which was done on the virus, the first kind of research was performed on an animal, which is the monkey, and because of that the name itself has been the monkeypox virus. Okay, it begins with viral entry into the host cell following by transcription, translation, replication, and release of mature variants, facilitating further viral spread. So what it does is a very clever one. So it's a very clever virus. So what it is going to do is, first of all, let's say if this is the skin of a human, and if it contacts here, and this is the, let's say this is the DNA, okay, this is the DNA of a person. So what it is going to do is that it is going to replicate the DNA. Okay, it is going to replicate the one strand of DNA, and then from that DNA he is going to make thousands and thousands of copies of himself like that. He is going to replicate more and more. This is called as a transcription. That is, it is like translating our human DNA into his own. Okay, and then slowly and slowly he is translating means he's trying to act like our own DNA. So he's, first of all, he's copying what our DNA looks like, and after that he's trying to act how our DNA actually acts like. So this is called as translation. Then he's going to replicate means he's going to multiply himself. He's not going to stay as one, he's going to multiply more and more and more and more. And then the release of mature virions means after that, when he's going to replicate more and more, he's going to release the deadliest form of himself, and that deadliest form of himself is going to penetrate the cell. That deadliest form is going to actually, after that, the cell is almost affected by the deadly virion, and when the cell is almost affected by the deadly virion, it is like the viral spread. Now there is no turning back, and the person can also be killed also in that process. So what it does is, first of all, when it enters the skin, it sees that this is a DNA of the person, and then he tries to transcript himself. He tries to copy how the DNA looks like. Exactly nohoige, kintu he copy koribo try kore. After that he translates, and once he understands it, he translates himself. He acts like how our DNA also acts like, he also acts like the same way. And then he replicate kore, and after that, when he replicates himself, then he releases the mature virions, which ultimately led to the affecting the cell of the human. So what is driving the current concern about Mpox? So why is WHO making Mpox as one of the health, why is WHO concerned about this being as one of the health emergencies? So the current concern stems from the spread of clade 1b of the Mpox, which is predominantly transmitted through sexual contact. So which is more deadliest form, which is the clade 1b of the Mpox virus, and it is transmitted through sexual contact. Okay, this is the most deadliest form of the entire virus, and because of more and more sexual contact with people to people, it is spreading more and more. So organism belonging to a clade share common ancestors. So when it comes to Mpox, there are two different clades, clade 1 and clade 2, with the former deadlier than the latter. Okay, so sexual transmission of clade 1 infection has not been reported previously, according to a paper published this January. So the scientists in the WHO are concerned. Why? Because they have never seen this transmission of a clade 1b transmitted through sexual contact. So mostly, generally, how it contacts through human, from mouth, from lesions, or from some kind of infected, if you are exposed to certain kind of infected parts, that is how it is being transmitted. But the scientists are very concerned, because this is something which is able to translate, which is able to spread via sexual contact. And because of this, the scientists are more and more concerned, because never ever in the history of the Mpox virus, this virus has actually traveled from one person to another via a sexual contact. So clade 1 infections have spread through zoonotic spillover events transmitted from animal to human in close proximity. So what is called zoonotic spillover? Zoonotic spillover mane from animal to human. If there is an infected animal, let's say a dog, if the dog is infected by Mpox virus and ahi pelai tomak jodi hi mane seleki diye, then what is going to happen? Then there is a high chance that that disease or that virus can spread from the dog's mouth or from the dog's saliva to your body. So that is how usually, this is the route of how Mpox virus used to travel. But this is the first time that it is traveled through a sexual contact. Okay. So are there vaccines for Mpox? Now, luckily there are at least 2 vaccines currently in use for Mpox, which have been recommended by WHO's Strategic Advisory Group of Experts on Immunization. So last week, an emergency use listing for Mpox was triggered by WHO, which will accelerate vaccine access for lower income countries which have not yet issued their own national regulatory approval. So this is something a good news for us, that at least we have certain vaccines for the protection of ourselves from the Mpox virus. So overall আমি কি শিকিলো যে Mpox is something a virus sorry, it is named as monkeypox virus because the first ever experiment of this virus was conducted in a monkey, and that is why it is named as a monkeypox virus. It was way back in the year 1958, but from the year 2022 the spread has been gradually increasing day by day. The first case happened in the state of Congo, and then out of Africa it spread to the first country called Sweden, and in Asia it has also traveled to Pakistan and also in India. Okay, so this is now because WHO is declaring Mpox as a health hazard, or you can say they are declaring it as a public emergency because the Mpox virus have been changing its course of transmission. Earlier they used to transmit only by human to human contact, from animal to human contact via regular contact, but this is the first time they are traveling through the sexual contact, which is even more concerning because this is not a virus which generally can replicate or spread through a sexual contact, but this is the first time that it is able to spread. So that is why the WHO is very concerned about this virus and how it actually travels from one cell to the next cell. It's when it comes into contact with a person's cell. When it enters the cell of that person, it notices the DNA, and when it notices the DNA of the person, it tries to replicate, it tries to transmit the DNA. That means it tries to act like the DNA of the person, and when it is quite successful in replicating itself like the DNA of the person, it multiplies into more and more forms, and when it multiplies, it releases a more deadlier version of himself, and when he releases the more deadlier version of himself, it ultimately leads to damage of the cell inside the body. So that is why it is a much more deadly virus, but thankfully we have vaccines, unlike coronavirus, which was a much more needed which was a much more health hazard for us. But right now we just need to be alert in terms of these kind of diseases. So if WHO has declared this as a public health emergency, so you must be very careful in coming in contact with any kind of animal or coming in contact with people. You have to be very, very careful in this. Okay, so I hope this is from an academic point. I think from an exam perspective, this is all you need to know. Beyond this, you don't need to know anything, because these are certain things which are not required to understand. These are more of a scientific thing, but overall, as a basic awareness, what we need to be aware of, these are the certain things that we need to be aware of. Okay, so I hope you have been looking into our videos, and we are soon going to release the second part of the Assam documentary, which will deal with the Pushya Varman dynasty, and I hope you will like it. So till then, take care and all the best.